What is going on, YouTube? Where up? My name is Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. I appreciate you guys for watching this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right now, as it does help these videos guys to the public and the channel to grow overall. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos on here weekly and almost every single day if we can, and turn on post notifications too, so you don't miss a single one of those videos that I post. It's only right to you guys. Alright guys, as you know, for most of the time I should say, you see me mainly on camera, but today I got my man Chase here today. What's going on, Chase? Say hello to the people.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, that's good. Yep, so we're coming to you guys from the University of Toledo. Obviously, this is my friend Chase. We're going to be talking about some sports today. We're going to pretty much do over an hour-long podcast. I don't know how long it's going to be, but hey, we're trying something new. Be sure to comment if you guys like this format that I'm doing, because I'm going to consider doing an hour-long podcast and things like that. And what I'll do is I will split the videos up into different increments. So one topic I'll talk about, I'll split into another video and drop those videos individually. So that's just kind of how I'm going to roll with things this week. I'm going to kind of see how things work. I'm going to try to see how I can grow the channel for you guys. But today, guys, we got a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of news in the NFL. Obviously, I was not very active this weekend due to a lot of me being pretty busy. But, you know, we're going to get things rolling. So we're going to talk about Antonio Brown today. We're going to talk about Cam Newton. We're going to talk about Daniel Jones. We're going to talk about the whole NFL picture, who can beat the Patriots, things like that. So let's just pretty much get started, man. The main topic I want to talk about to start off is, man, the New Orleans Saints, man. They look pretty good. They had a big win over the Seattle Seahawks this past weekend. Now, if you guys did not know, those of you that have been following the channel for a while, I picked the New Orleans Saints to not make the playoffs this year, okay? And that, because Drew Brees was going to miss 6 weeks, that had me a lot more confident that was going to happen. But after seeing what they did to Seattle, I got to tell you, without Drew Brees, they might be the best team in the NFC, honestly. I mean, if they can beat the Seattle Seahawks on the road in Seattle, that's a big win. I mean, they pretty much dominated most of the game. The box score says 33-27. I mean, but the game, at the start of the fourth quarter, Chase, I mean, it was like 27-3. I'm sorry, not 27-3, 27-7. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks obviously won that run, but I feel like that game really showcased how complete of a team the Saints are. I mean, you look at special teams. They had a big kick. They had a big punt return for a touchdown. You know, Alvin Kamara doing this thing. Their defense is amazing. And if Teddy Bridgewater can just hold it down a little bit and maybe go 4-2 over this stretch of games, I thought they were going to obviously go 3-3. And if he can go about 4-2, maybe 5-1, because I do think they have a shot to beat Dallas. I mean, the Saints, they're looking pretty good. I mean, they're a complete team. The only thing I don't really like about the Saints is they don't have a great over-the-top deep threat wide receiver. But again, last year they were one play away from getting to the Super Bowl, and they didn't really have a great deep threat wide receiver. So,
what about Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas is a great wide receiver, but he's not a true deep threat wide receiver. He's a possession wide receiver.
I think he's a good deep threat. He's got the speed. He's got the hands. He's like another DeAndre Hopkins, basically.
Well, Michael Thomas to me is one of the top 5 wide receivers in all football right now, definitely. But he's not a guy that you worry about beating you deep. Like, that's not his specialty. That's kind of what I'm getting at. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that is true. They do have Ted Ginn Jr., who's got the speed.
Yeah.
To go along with it. And like, everybody also forgets about how good Teddy Bridgewater actually is. Like, when he was with the Vikings his first year, they went 9-7. Second year, they had a double-digit win total and barely missed winning their first playoff game because of a kicker missing a field goal.
That is very true.
And then
they went 11-5 that year.
And then he blew out his knee, and like, everybody like kind of wrote him off and thinking that he wasn't that good. Like, he was probably one of the best, if not the best, quarterback drafted in the first round of that draft. That was with the draft with Manziel and everything too. So he got drafted 32 overall by the Vikings, and he's a really good quarterback. I don't know why everybody is writing him off, thinking that like the Saints are doomed and everything to start. Like, they actually have a chance to go on a run because Bridgewater is their quarterback. He's a veteran. He's been in this league. He's won games. Hasn't won a playoff game, but still, like, he can hold down the fort until Drew comes back. And I think that they're probably the second best team in the NFC.
Who do you think is the best team in the NFC?
Right now, it's the Rams.
Rams are pretty good. They are pretty good.
They're undefeated right now. They beat the Saints. They beat the Saints.
They beat the Saints, yeah.
And they got defensive help in the back end. They had the addition of Clay Matthews, the addition of Eric Weddle in that back half.
Secondary is still good with Marcus Peters and Talib too.
Yep, Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters. So that secondary they assured with Eric Weddle coming in. So I honestly think it's the Rams to beat. but the NFC is the tougher division rather than the AFC.
Yeah, I agree. Now, looking at the Saints' upcoming schedule, they do have to play the Atlanta Falcons twice, obviously. They do have to play the Carolina Panthers twice, the Buccaneers twice, obviously. But the stretch of games in which Drew Brees is out, they can hold it down. If Teddy Bridgewater can go on the road and beat a very good Seattle Seahawks team, I mean, I'm looking at the Saints, man. They're looking really, really nice. I mean,
it's tough to win in Seattle.
It is very tough, and this division is winnable too. I mean, you look at Atlanta. I mean, I know Atlanta had a big win over Philadelphia, but we're obviously realizing that Philadelphia is kind of struggling. They're not getting off to that great start we thought they probably might. And when I look at the Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton's obviously hurt now. Again, Kyle Allen did come in and play pretty well versus the Cardinals, but again,
it's the Cardinals.
Yeah, it is the Cardinals. They're improving. I like Kyler Murray, but I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where this division is winnable. You know, now that the Saints had that win versus Seattle, I think they can honestly beat Dallas. I mean, I know Dallas is a very good team, but they get that game at home. They get Tampa Bay at home coming up, and they get the Cardinals coming up at home. Now they do have to play the Jaguars coming up, which could be a tough game. I mean, Gardner Minshew looks pretty good, but I think I might take the Saints in that game. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, like you said, he's a capable quarterback. He was able to hold it down pretty much for when, Drew Brees was out. He's one of those quarterbacks where he's not. I'm gonna say this: Teddy Bridgewater is not going to lose you the game. He's not going to go up and mess the game up. And Sean Payton's a great offensive play caller too. I mean, Sean Payton definitely can create the game plan. And like I said, Teddy Bridgewater does not have to be Drew Brees. If that Saints team and that defense comes to play like they did in the first three quarters versus Seattle, I mean, they might just get back to the Super Bowl. Now, the only thing I really worry about with the Saints is they may not get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and that might be an issue. But again, I mean, if they can go on the road and beat Seattle, they're looking like a pretty good team. Would you agree?
I would agree. I mean, with the Cowboys and everything, it's gonna be hard to determine who's gonna win that game. I mean, the Cowboys have a great upcoming defense coming along there. It's all a matter of what Sean Payton calls. Like he was good enough to design plays for Teddy Bridgewater, and like he really didn't have to change his offensive playbook that much because Teddy almost plays like Drew, except he's got the factor that he can run a little bit.
Yeah, he can move around.
And that helps a lot, but like he's also getting packages where Taysom Hill comes into play as receiver. He has him where you do like a reverse play and like you toss it to Taysom and he throws the ball deep to Michael or Ted Ginn. So like he's got these packages that fit for both quarterbacks, but Teddy's going to be the well-known starter of that team. And it's like you said, that division is like up in the air because if the Panthers can play good with Kyle Allen, they have a shot of winning the division, but who knows for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, no doubt. I think I'm going to shift to this. Obviously, guys, if you were hiding underneath a rock this weekend, well, you missed Daniel Jones because boy, did he ball out versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Daniel Jones looked absolutely amazing. He had over 300 yards. He had 4 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground, I might add. That's one aspect about his game that I think a lot of people underrated when he was coming out of Duke. He was a very good mobile quarterback at Duke. I don't think people gave him enough credit for that when he was coming out. And I got to tell you, I've been saying it for weeks. I mean, Eli Manning, he had to go. It's one of those things where I kind of talked about it in a separate video that I don't know if you watched it, but I pretty much said that Eli Manning, he's kind of like that old iPhone that's outdated or that flip phone, where...
But it's still old reliable. I mean, when it comes to Eli, and you go back and watch the games that they played, most of that is not Eli's fault. The defense is not good enough. The offensive line, granted, they got Kevin Zeitler, which was a big boost to their offensive line. They've improved it. It couldn't get any worse. They have improved it. But the thing is, they didn't give very many run plays to Saquon Barkley. He only had 15 touches in one game. Like you can't give a dynamic back like that, one of the best ones in the game, just in his second year by far, and you only give him 15 touches. That is insane. That's like going back to the Ohio State days where the game against Michigan State where they lost.
Didn't get the ball.
He got 8 touches that game. You give the best back that you have more than 15 touches or 8 touches, you're gonna win the game. And like Eli though, like he had points where he was dropping back and ready to throw the ball, but he had no receivers open. Like honestly, I think it might have been just a tad bit early to determine like if it was time for him to go. Like I agree it was time for him to go, but like he didn't have much to work with. You get rid of your best offensive weapon in OBJ during the offseason. You got Golden Tate suspended for 4 games, and Sterling Shepard's out with a concussion, and he just came back this week. So who do you really have to throw to? Like nobody's getting open, nobody's coming off their routes fast enough. So it's like, what could he do?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Yeah, Eli Manning didn't have very much to work with, but I mean, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley went out in that game. Like, Saquon Barkley got hurt, and Daniel Jones put them on his back. I don't think if Eli Manning was in that game, they win that game. I just don't think that's happening. I mean, Eli Manning, he's a solid quarterback. You know, he's smart. He knows how to get out of the right plays down. But let's be real. He's not the same quarterback he used to be. He's not that same quarterback that beat Tom Brady in those 2 Super Bowls. Definitely not. And Daniel Jones, he was looking really, really good. He was consistently throwing the ball down the field. He looked comfortable under pressure. I mean, he was sacked 5 times, but he kept staying in the pocket. He kept delivering darts down the field. He was pushing the ball down the field and getting those deep passes, looking really, really good. I mean, he was playing really well. I can't really remember a debut from a rookie quarterback that looked this good in a while, honestly. I really can't. I mean, Daniel Jones looks like the real deal. He provides that spark that the New York Giants just needed. And I think that one of the things about the Giants was their game plan, I think, changed a little bit with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones allows their playbook to be a little bit more open. Because Eli Manning, while I watched the Giants play these past couple of years, he's been dinking and dunking a lot. And now, again, Eli is not the same guy. He's obviously a little bit older and not the same guy anymore. But Daniel Jones, he's younger, better arm, and he just provides more life to this team. And he did something Eli Manning did not do in his entire career this past week. Eli Manning was 0-44 in games where he was down 18 points in a game. Daniel Jones came back down 18 and won that game. And I gotta tell you, the Giants, if they get that defense fixed and Saquon Barkley comes back for the future, I think they found their guy. I was not very high on Daniel Jones. I thought Dwayne Haskins should have been taken above him.
I think so too.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that, oh, Daniel Jones is gonna be this superstar quarterback right now. Obviously, we have to see it play out. And obviously, quarterbacks, you have to give them time. So down the road, we'll see what happens. But again, I think the Giants found their guy. That's one thing I think that people failed to realize. The Giants, they had Daniel Jones rated on their board much higher than pretty much everyone else, in my opinion.
And I would agree. And I think that Dave Gettleman was stupid in picking him 6th, though. Like, the thing is, he came out and said, he's like, oh, I guarantee you there was 2 other people ahead of me that was going to take a quarterback. The only people that were ahead of him that would have taken a quarterback was the Denver Broncos, and they traded down with the Steelers to get
Dolphins. The Broncos, and then the Dolphins were the other team. Yeah,
the Dolphins were the other team, but they were really high sprung on getting Rosen. But it was also the Redskins too. But everybody knew that they were going to pick Dwayne Haskins if he was still on the board. So that there was no way that Daniel Jones should have been taken 6th overall. I think if they would have waited until 17th, he would have been taken there. But let's talk about the Bucks in that game first. Bruce Arians blew that game for them. Because, taking the delay of game penalty cost him the game. Absolutely. Because if you do not take that delay of game penalty, it knocked his kicker back 5 yards. If you just take the timeout, you kick it right there, game's over, Bucks win. Nobody's talking about how good Daniel Jones is because they lose the game. But the thing is...
Yeah, the kicker missed the field goal, too.
Yeah, he said that his kicker was better in 40 yards back. And I'm like, he missed it, barely right. Like, it was 6 inches to the right. And you move him up, you keep him at those 5 yards, he kicks that, wins the game instantly. And it's like the Bucks are 2-1, and everybody's talking about how Bruce Arians is turning that team around. So, I don't know. Personally, I think he blew the game for him.
The Bucks are 1-2. They beat the Panthers.
No, I'm saying they would have been 2-1.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. Yeah, but I mean, Daniel Jones, he looked pretty good. I mean, I think he's the right fit for the Giants. And one thing about Daniel Jones is he can escape pressure, because that's one thing Eli Manning couldn't do. The Giants really haven't had a quarterback like Daniel Jones in a while. And I think that the trend now is the guy that can kind of move outside the pocket. You look at Deshaun Watson. You look at Patrick Mahomes. You look at Baker Mayfield. You look at people in the league right now, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. All the really good quarterbacks, you obviously got your Tom Brady's, you obviously got your Drew Breeses. But the trend nowadays is quarterbacks that can move around a little bit and evade pressure and open up the playbook and get outside the pocket. And, they were running, quarterback design runs with Daniel Jones this past week. So he provides a new dynamic. I think that now that he can run the ball with Saquon Barkley, that's really, really going to help their offense, because now you can't just account for Saquon Barkley running the football. You got to account for Daniel Jones too. So I got to tell you, man, the Giants, it look like they found their guy, and we'll see how he progresses. I mean, I'm excited to watch Daniel Jones play. I was not very high on him in the draft. I might have made a mistake. I was high on Haskins. I stood him very high on Dwayne Haskins. I said Kyler Murray was the best combination for a runner and thrower the draft had ever seen. So we'll see how he's doing. He's looking pretty good, but that's where I'm at with the Giants. I mean, they look pretty good. All right, coming up, we'll talk about who can actually beat the Patriots. Are the Patriots going to go 16-0? Are they unbeatable? We'll see. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back right here today with my man Chase from the University of Toledo. We're here. All right, we're going to talk about the Patriots now. To me, okay, in the offseason, I picked the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles pick is not looking too good, but to say all that, I was high on the Patriots. I said the Patriots were going back to the Super Bowl. I even said that even though they no longer have Antonio Brown, they still probably are going back to the Super Bowl. This is arguably the best Patriots team, in my opinion, since 2007 when they went 16-0. They ran through the playoffs. Obviously, they lost to Eli Manning in that Super Bowl, but we cannot ignore the fact that the Patriots are arguably the most complete team in all football. I think the Chiefs might have the best offense still in the league, but the Patriots to me are at least a top 2 offense, and they arguably have a top 2 defense too. I mean, the Bears and Patriots defense, it's neck and neck between both those teams. And this is arguably the best defense that Bill Belichick has maybe had at his time in New England. It really is. And I got to tell you, this schedule is very soft, man. And I think the Patriots are really, really good. And, Chase, I don't know about you, but I think the Chiefs have a shot to knock off the Patriots. I really do. I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. I know you think Aaron Rodgers is still the best quarterback. I'm a Packers fan. You know, either way you can look at it. This year, in my opinion, if I had to give an MVP vote this year, it would go to Patrick Mahomes. The reason why I think the Chiefs have a chance to knock off the Patriots and why we should not sleep on the Patriots getting knocked out by the Chiefs is the Chiefs have multiple weapons to throw at you. Okay? Bill Belichick is known for taking away your best number 1 option. So if you take away Tyreek Hill, that's fine. They got Mecole Hardman. They got Sammy Watkins. They got Travis Kelce.
They got Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson looked very good. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is looking really good even without Travis Kelce. They're still putting up over 33 points on the Ravens without Travis Kelce. And they got great running backs, a great offensive line. Spoiler alert, the Chiefs are just a great offense overall. And listen, I think the Texans are a good team, but I worry about their offensive line. I don't think their linebackers are that good. I think their secondary is suspect. I look at the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a good team. Their defense is good. Lamar Jackson is taking the next step, in my opinion. But again, they have a great offensive line, a great running game. But again, I don't think they can keep up with the Patriots. And I worry about Lamar Jackson when he has to face a Bill Belichick defense. So those are the 2 other teams I look at in the AFC specifically. But again, in order to beat the Patriots, you're probably going to have to go to Foxborough, and the Chiefs' defense looks better. It really does. It's better than last year. It's not.
It's a lot better. If you had that defense that now you put them in last year, they beat the Patriots and go to the
I
Super
totally
Bowl.
agree. The Chiefs arguably had you could make the argument the Chiefs had the worst defense last year, and they were literally 1 play away from getting to the Super Bowl. And to me, if they won that game, they would have beaten the Rams in that Super Bowl. Okay, that's just my opinion. I don't know about you, but I think that they had a good shot to win that Super Bowl.
I think it should have been a Saints-Chiefs Super Bowl.
Yeah, I thought the Saints had it. I mean, unfortunately, the Saints got kind of robbed in that game.
They did.
Yeah, they got robbed in that game. But either way, so I think the Patriots should be the favorites, but I will not count the Chiefs as far as knock out the Patriots in the AFC. I've said in the past. I've said in a previous video the Patriots are going 16-0. That's my humble opinion. I really do think that. If they're not going 16-0, they're going at least 14-2 or 15-1. So I just think the Patriots are going to win a lot of games. What are your thoughts? Because honestly, like you said, you have to beat. You know the Patriots are not going to beat themselves. You know they got Bill Belichick. You know they got Tom Brady. You know they're probably going to be playing in Foxborough again. It's a tough place to play. They're going to probably get all the calls going their way. But do you think the Chiefs can knock out the Patriots? Do you think they're going to knock out the Patriots potentially? What are your thoughts? That's my thoughts. I'm going to toss up between the 2, but we'll see.
I mean, you look at the last couple meetings with the Chiefs and everything, and over the past 3 years, the Chiefs are 1-2 versus them. You look at that one season that they had in Foxborough in the opening when Alex Smith was their quarterback and Kareem Hunt was the running back and everything. They blew out the Patriots. It was like 40-20 something.
Andy Reid has that success.
And Andy Reid does have success with Patrick Mahomes. Now, is Andy Reid going to finish his career when Patrick Mahomes retires? Who knows? Andy will be like 80-something by the time Patrick Mahomes done. So he might have to retire before then. But right now, that combo with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes is a great combo to work with. And I think that if anybody could beat the Patriots, it would be the Chiefs, especially with an upgraded defense, with LaShawn McCoy, like actually having a better running back than they did last year, with LaShawn McCoy, and just the weapons that he has. Like, Tyreek Hill's out, okay? Everybody thought that with Tyreek Hill gone, like the Chiefs weren't going to do that.
They're rolling. They're still rolling.
They're still rolling. They're undefeated right now, and they just beat
Patrick Mahomes making Marcus Robinson look pretty good. He's making Mecole Hardman look pretty good.
Yeah, Mecole Hardman, Robinson, Watkins, like he's still got some good weapons to work with, and a much better defense. I think
the defense was bad, man.
I think it's either going to go through Foxborough or it's going to go through Kansas City. Like either or, it's going to come down to whoever wins that game against the Patriots and Chiefs is going to determine who gets the home field advantage in the AFC.
Yeah, that probably is true, honestly. I mean, the Chiefs, their schedule is manageable. It's not anything too particularly hard. I don't think the Chiefs have an overly hard schedule. I do think they'll probably go 12-4, potentially 13-3. We'll have to see. But again, I think the Patriots are going 14-2 at least. But I mean, like you said, the Chiefs, I think they have the best shot of knocking out the Patriots. Like you said, they have a lot of weapons. Patrick Mahomes has had success versus this team. They had him on the ropes last year. They had him on the ropes. They really did.
I mean, they were a team that was down going into halftime.
They were shut out in the first half.
And Patrick Mahomes didn't know what to do, but what happens is him and Andy Reid go in and plan for the Patriots in the second half. And then what did they do? They put up 38 points in the second half against a pretty decent Patriots defense that you're looking at. And they're probably a lot better this year. And the Patriots also have, on the other side of the ball, they have Julian Edelman, they got Josh Gordon, they got N'Keal Harry that's going to be coming back and off of injury and everything. So Tom, I feel like he's got some great weapons to work with, and I think the only way that you can stop Tom Brady is if you break his ankles.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Patriots. They can beat you in multiple ways. We know if the Chiefs' offense is struggling, they're not going to win. They're just not. I know the defense has improved, but they're not a team where the defense can carry them. The Patriots, they can beat
the Packers. The Packers defense is carrying them right now.
Yeah, my Packers. We're gonna get the offense fixed. Don't worry about that. But either way, not getting too off topic. But again, the Patriots can beat you in multiple ways. They can beat you with the great defense they have. They arguably have the best secondary in all of football. Let's not forget, last year, Rams, #1 scoring offense, 3 points in the Super Bowl. Okay, last year. I know the Chiefs went off in the second half, but the first half they were shut out.
But they also didn't have Todd Gurley playing that game too. Every time Todd Gurley came in, he got like 10 yards every run that he had pretty much. And if Todd Gurley would have been able to play that whole game, I believe it would have. And if they would have had Cooper Kupp,
Brandon Cooks too, he had that little drop.
Well, I believe that if Cooper Kupp would have been healthy, that would have been.
Jared Goff definitely fell off a cliff once Cooper Kupp left.
Yeah, that would have helped him. And not only that, like having Todd Gurley. So having those two in there, they would have beaten the Patriots. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I picked the Rams to win that Super Bowl. But again, that's the thing about the Patriots. Like I said, they can beat you in so many ways. They can beat you running the ball with Sonny Michel. The offensive line is still elite. They got Sonny Michel. They got James White. They got Damian Harrison. They arguably have the best defense in football, like I said. They still have Josh Gordon. They still got, Julian Edelman. N'Keal Harry is going to come back. They're still obliterating teams without N'Keal Harry. They're the best point differential in all of football right now. So we both agree the Chiefs are the team that can beat them in the AFC.
And looking at their schedule, I think that the toughest opponents that the Patriots face is the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys.
I throw in the Texans, but yep, go ahead.
I mean, you got to look at it. Like the Cowboys also have a chance of beating them too, because I mean, they're
a complete team.
They are in sync. Ezekiel Elliott's playing at a high level. Amari Cooper's playing really good. They got another weapon in Randall Cobb in the receiving corps.
Looks pretty good.
They also beat the Saints last year. The Cowboys did,
yep.
And the Saints had a much better offense than what the Rams did, and were the potential candidates to go to the Super Bowl if it wasn't for that blown call.
I agree.
And I think that Cowboys defense has a chance to stop. But like,
it's in Foxborough though, so I don't think the Cowboys are beating the Patriots in Foxborough. If it was in Dallas, I think you have a case, but I just don't think anybody can beat them in Foxborough. That's my thing.
I think it's possible. I think the Cowboys, if you look at that schedule, I think if anybody could beat them, it's probably the Cowboys and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. I put the Philadelphia Eagles on that thing. I know the Philadelphia Eagles are struggling right now, but again, I think the Philadelphia Eagles, when they get right, when they're clicking, they're arguably one of the 3 most talented teams in all football. They're just not clicking on all cylinders. So the Philadelphia Eagles game could be a loss. We could see for the Patriots. But as far as the NFC teams go, it's kind of interesting. I think it's the clear 2-cut teams in the AFC as far as contenders go for a Super Bowl. We like the Texans, we like the Browns, we like the Ravens, but let's be real, it's the Chiefs and Patriots in my opinion, okay? In the NFC, it's a little bit more interesting. So if the Patriots get to the Super Bowl, who can knock them off in the NFC? I look at teams like the Saints. The Saints, to me, like I said, I'm owning it right now. I thought the Saints were going to miss the playoffs. I thought that the emotional losses they had, back-to-back seasons, losing to Minnesota the way they did, losing the way they did to the Rams. Drew Brees last year in the second half did not look like a top 10 quarterback. It was a tale of two seasons for Drew Brees. And Drew Brees is defying Father Time. He's old. He's like, what, 40 years old, 41 years old?
Yeah.
So he's defying that Father Time. Now, he's obviously hurt. We'll see
wants the Super Bowl. I believe if he gets a Super Bowl, he'll retire.
Yeah, I would retire if I'm Drew Brees. But if I win a Super Bowl. But again, getting back to my point. What was I going to say? Yeah, the Saints. I mean, we'll see how he looks when he comes back. But I mean, the Saints, they are a complete team. When I look at teams like the Packers, I love my Green Bay Packers, but the offense is a little bit of questions, okay? The Saints have a great defense. They have a great special teams. They have a great running game. They have an elite offensive line, and Sean Payton's a great coach. And honestly, like you said last year, we both think that if the Saints got to that Super Bowl, they probably could have knocked off that Patriots team if you could argue that. And now they got Jared Cook in there. I mean, I think the Saints, I don't know if they'll get home field throughout the playoffs just because, look, Teddy Bridgewater looked great. But again, they still have to play Dallas. They still have to go to Jacksonville a little bit. We'll see how they look.
The Rams have to lose.
Yeah, the Rams look pretty good. I think that Green Bay has a shot to knock out the Patriots if they somehow find themselves in the Super Bowl. To me, I said all offseason, my Packers were the Super Bowl sleeper this year. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, he's still playing pretty good. Okay, the running game looks a lot better with Aaron Jones, with Jamal Williams. The offense is in a little bit of a process, but I've seen some flashes where the game versus the Vikings, to start the game, 3 straight drives, 3 touchdowns. But then they don't go the whole game they go the whole rest of the game without scoring. So it's still a work in progress. But that Green Bay defense is legit, and it's been proven. It's literally been proven. The last time Aaron Rodgers had a top 10 defense, he won a Super Bowl. Now obviously Aaron Rodgers is not as good as he once was. He's still a great quarterback. He's still a top 3 quarterback in the league to me, but not playing at that, I'm so better than everyone level that he was a couple years ago.
I mean, to me, I think Aaron Rodgers is still the best quarterback in the NFL, bar none. Because he makes throws that you don't see. He makes plays that you don't see. He's the king of Hail Marys and everything. And you look back a couple years ago against the Cowboys and that throw to Jared Cook on the sidelines. That is a throw that not even Tom Brady makes. That is a catch that not even Julian Edelman and Gronkowski makes. And if you, like you said, he's had a top 10 defense one time in his career. One time.
Twice, just rookie year, but.
And he made it to the Super Bowl that year. Tom Brady's had a top 10 defense his entire career, and he's made it to the Super Bowl. And not to mention, going head-to-head against a lot of elite quarterbacks in this league, Rodgers has come out on top. And honestly, if you would have taken this defense and put them on the Packers last year, I honestly believe that they would have beaten the Patriots last year, playing them in the regular season.
That's pretty bold. I mean, I was a Packers fan. I mean, obviously, Matt LaFleur coming in, it's a lot better. I think the offense is a work in progress still. They're still figuring some things out. They're not putting up 30 points a game. But again, it just goes to show you, they won a game 10-3 versus the Bears. The Bears are a pretty good team. They have a Super Bowl caliber defense. I mean, I know Mr. Trubisky is a work in progress. I know the offense is a work in progress. But again, they beat a pretty good Minnesota team at home a couple weeks ago, and they beat a pretty good Broncos defense, okay? So my thing is, when's the last time we've seen Aaron Rodgers win a game 10-3? I'm a Packers fan. I can literally think of it maybe one time in his 11 or 12-year career of starting. So now that Aaron Rodgers has that defense, I am going to assume that this offense, by the time Thanksgiving comes around, is going to pick up. It's going to start putting up more points, in my opinion. Okay? This defense is legit. It's a top 10 defense easily in the league right now. So, and again, the Packers, we play the Eagles this upcoming week. We do have to travel to the Cowboys. We do play the Chiefs. We play the Chargers. There's some tough games on that schedule. But I do think that Green Bay is a team to look for in the playoffs. Now, as far as Dallas goes, I think Dallas is a shot. I really do. Dak Prescott, he's looking pretty good. He's looking better than he's ever looked. He's taking that big next leap, in my opinion. And again, the Cowboys are all in. They paid Ezekiel Elliott. They said, "Hey, we're going for this thing. We're not trading Ezekiel Elliott," which I don't think they probably should have done either. I mean,
the offense runs through Zeke, so
no doubt. So I think the Cowboys have a shot. Again, I worry about Green Bay because, like I said, we're assuming the offense is going to be better, but it hasn't shown the progression. And again, we'll see. I mean, I love Devontae Adams, but I was really disappointed the Packers did not draft another wide receiver in the draft just because I felt like they needed another great playmaker. And, MVS is doing okay, Geronimo Allison's doing okay, but I think that until Green Bay starts performing better on offense, my Packers, I'm going to hold out on them a little bit. But again, if they get in the playoffs, they're going to be a dangerous team because if they get home field throughout the playoffs in Lambeau, don't nobody want to come to that cold. No one wants to play in Lambeau Field. No one wants to see Aaron Rodgers have home field with that defense now. And again, Aaron Rodgers, he's not even scored 30 points this year yet, and they're 3-0. So that's looking good. So again, the Patriots, we know they're probably the favorites, but again, look for teams like the Chiefs and the AFC to probably potentially knock them off. Look for teams like potentially the Packers, maybe the Rams again, or the Saints in the NFC. You know, that's where we're at with that. You know, we'll take a little short break and we'll be right back. All right, so now we'll transition to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, obviously, guys, if you did not know, if you've not been following the channel for a while, the Philadelphia Eagles were my Super Bowl pick. Okay, they were my Super Bowl pick. I thought they would go 12-4. I thought they would win their division. I thought they were going to struggle a little bit early, but their schedule late was really, really good. I like Carson Wentz. I think when he's on, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. I like Doug Peterson, the head coach. I love their running backs. I love their wide receivers. I love their defensive line with Malik Jackson, who they added. He's obviously hurt now, and that's been the story for the Philadelphia Eagles. Injuries. They've not gotten off to a great start. They just lost to the Lions, and I do think the Lions are a decent team, but let's be real, guys. The Philadelphia Eagles, with their talent, you shouldn't be losing to the Lions. I get you had Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson out, but this Philadelphia Eagles secondary is worse than I thought, and they're just not playing great football right now. And look, as far as them being a Super Bowl team that I think is going to win the Super Bowl, I'm out on that. I'm not holding on to that. That's officially gone. I think teams like the Packers, who they're actually going to play this weekend, I think they're going to lose. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles will be 1-3 after this.
They don't have Nick Foles to fall back on either.
No, they don't. And Carson Wentz, for whatever reason, he can't win big games. Ever since, last year versus the Panthers, he lost. Versus the Vikings last year, he lost. Versus the Saints last year, got blown out.
Ever since that ACL tear, he hasn't been the same.
Exactly. So, again, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to win the Super Bowl. I'm out on that. But as far as the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think you should sell your stock on them making the playoffs. I really don't think you should do that. I think they're a talented team. And honestly, guys, I watched that entire Philadelphia Eagles-Atlanta Falcons game. They were decimated with a ton of injuries, and they nearly stole that game. Now, Atlanta, they're obviously inconsistent. They did get blown out by Minnesota. They did lose on the road to Jacoby Brissett and the Colts, who are a pretty good team, but not world beaters, I would say. But look, when the Eagles are right, when they get healthy, I think they're arguably a top 3 team in all football as far as talent goes. And this is a team a couple years ago. It's a lot of the same parts in that team that went to the Super Bowl and won that Super Bowl other than Nick Foles. I like their team, and I think that, look, it's a tough stretch these next couple games. They have to play the Jets. That's probably a win. Now, they got to travel to Minnesota. They got to travel to Dallas. They got to travel to Buffalo. But I do think they're probably going to beat Minnesota. I don't like the way Kirk Cousins is playing. Their run defense is very good. They'll be able to shut down Dalvin Cook, in my opinion. The Cowboys, this game is probably a loss. Bears, I think they get them at home. I think that's a win. Then going into the bye week, they do play the Patriots, but they get the Patriots at home, Seattle at home, and then at Miami, the Giants, the Redskins, the Cowboys again at home, and then at the Giants.
That's a very winnable schedule.
Yes, after that bye week, I could see the Philadelphia Eagles losing only one of 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they could go 6-1 in that stretch. I really do. I think they could go potentially undefeated or lose one of those games only. So I think Philadelphia sneaks barely into the playoffs at 10-6. I do think Dallas, because they have a much easier schedule. Now, granted, we have not seen Dallas play a good team yet. They still have to play the Packers. They still have to play, the Saints, the Rams, the Bears. But the Cowboys are off to a pretty hot start. So
Packers and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm calling it right now.
That might be the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers and that Packers defense, they're looking pretty good.
I am calling that. That is my Super Bowl prediction. Packers and Chiefs in the Super Bowl this year.
You heard right here from Chase. That's a pretty good pick. I really like that. I think the Chiefs have a chance to knock out the Patriots. But again, are you out on Philadelphia, or do you think they make the playoffs? Do you think that?
I think Philadelphia could, but they need to start Andre Dillard. When he came in, I watched the game against the Falcons. He was out, he was sitting on the sidelines and not starting. They had a veteran left tackle in there. Andre Dillard came in for 2 plays, completely annihilated their defensive end.
He was really good,
and just completely got them away from him, and was able to make Carson Wentz throw the ball and gave him some time to throw. So honestly, Andre Dillard is probably the best left tackle that came out of the draft, if not one of the best. I think Jonah Williams.
He's the best pass blocker.
I think Jonah Williams was the best one, but coming in second was Andre Dillard. They need to start him. They need to play him. Give Carson more time, because he's getting pressured. He's getting hit. He's not going to be lasting much longer if they don't shore up that. So it comes down to if they start Andre Dillard and if Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson can stay healthy, and how Carson can play. If Carson plays like he did last week, he's going to lose. But if he plays like he did against the Falcons...
Well, he had 7 drops in that game versus the Lions. I mean, he didn't get much help from his wide receivers.
He really didn't, but, like, you know... I agree. He's got to play better.
I agree. Now, one thing I will say is that if they can potentially trade for Jalen Ramsey, I'd make that move. The reason why is because, listen, Philadelphia, they could use a draft pick, but let's be real. Philadelphia's loaded. Can you admit Philadelphia's pretty loaded roster, right?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. So my thing is, not a lot of guys they're probably going to draft are going to make a huge, big impact. Yet, not again, there's some good players in the draft, but again, I go with Jalen Ramsey because this secondary, I mean, Ronald Darby's good, but I watched him versus the Falcons. He gave him 2 touchdown passes. Now, again, he did have a big interception, but it was right to him. So, again, we'll have to see with him. But if I'm the Eagles, I make that move because the draft picks are not going to help you. They could help you, but they're not going to help you the way Jalen Ramsey is going to help you. So if I'm the Eagles, I make that move for the future and for now because the Philadelphia Eagles are a roster that can win right now.
And breaking news: Cam Newton might be out longer than expected.
That's crazy, man. We'll talk about Cam Newton a little bit, but either way, yeah. I mean, again, I think Philadelphia. I like their coach. I like their quarterback. I like their running backs. I like their wide receivers. When Deshaun Jackson was playing, when we saw him Week 1 versus the Redskins, he changed that offense. He's a big time player when he's getting going for that offense. So. Once they get their full team back, I do think they're going to be a dangerous team if they get into the playoffs. The question is, can they get there? Because that stretch versus the Vikings, the Cowboys, and the Bills on the road, those are 3 legitimate defenses. Okay, Carson Wentz has not been protected very well.
I believe it's going to be the Cowboys winning the division, Eagles sneaking as a wild card team.
Yeah, I think I agree right there. So we're both not out on the Philadelphia Eagles, but as far as Super Bowl contender, I unfortunately am out on the Eagles. Okay, so sorry, Eagles, you're not winning the Super Bowl. You're not getting to the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. Maybe if you get there, you're going a wild card run. But again, we haven't even seen Carson Wentz play in a playoff game yet. So I just don't see it.
He's got to go back to that MVP year in order for him to have a shot.
No doubt. He was actually my pick to win MVP. He's not quite lived up to that yet. But that's where I'm at with the Eagles. All right, guys, we are back here with my man Chase right here, and we're going to talk about now Josh Rosen. Obviously, like I said, Daniel Jones absolutely balled out this past week. But another quarterback that, was the first time starting for a new team was Josh Rosen. Now, for me, I was not super high on Josh Rosen coming out of college. Like, I thought he was a good quarterback, but I like guys like Baker Mayfield. I like guys like Sam Darnold a little bit more. That's just my humble opinion, okay? But last year, I don't think you could get a great read on how good Josh Rosen could really be because the Cardinals, they were awful last year. They were not very good. And when I look at quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and things like that, I get it. They're rare talents. They're very good. They're transcendent type talents. But at the same time, they had weapons, okay? Deshaun Watson had DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller to work with, okay? Patrick Mahomes has Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid, an offensive play caller, to work with. So,
but Baker, like he didn't really have much to work with. I mean, you could say that he had David Njoku as a good tight end, upcoming tight end, probably top 5 in the league. He had Landry, but like other than that, like he really had nobody else. I mean, you got like a receiver on the team that was Rashard Higgins developed chemistry with and everything, and has become a good receiver for them, wide receiver 3 right now. But the thing is, he went from having a terrible head coach, terrible situation, not moving the ball, not doing very well, to having Freddie Kitchens come in as the interim offensive coordinator, and then they lit it up, and they had Rashard Perriman and Landry and Njoku and stuff that they were working with. So, like, he had weapons, it's just he wasn't, like, his play benefactored, like, how good he really was.
Oh, no, I agree, yeah. All I'm saying is that Jarvis Landry would arguably be the number 1 wide receiver on the Cardinals. Would you not agree with that?
No.
Who is the number 1? Larry Fitz?
I think Larry Fitz.
He's still doing pretty good. He's old, but he's getting things done.
Larry's still Larry. I mean, you can't take that number 1 spot away from him. But like last year, they had Christian Kirk as well. He
dropped a lot of passes though.
And like he really benefacted, but like he broke his foot. And like David Johnson's play was like below average.
Yeah,
he didn't do that while everybody was so high on him being a top running back in the league and having over 1,000 yards, but he really didn't do anything. The offensive line was atrocious. The only defensive players that they had last year was Chandler Jones and Patrick Peterson, and that was all they had to work with. And then like they do a complete overhaul of that roster and add Byron Murphy. They add Andy.
I thought they were winners of the draft.
They add Andy Isabella. They add a whole bunch of other players. They got Terrell Suggs in the offseason.
Akeem Butler, but he's hurt now.
Akeem Butler, yeah. but like they added offensive weapons to go along with, Kyler Murray and the draft pick that they had. But then they trade Rosen to the Dolphins, which are doing a complete overhaul of their roster and traded a lot of good players. A team that barely missed the playoffs last year and was 1 to 2 wins away from making it into the playoffs are now probably the worst team in the entire league because of their roster. They got their best defensive weapon is Xavier Howard. They've got probably Quentin Williams, or not Quentin Williams, Christian Wilkins is probably their best defensive lineman. And then you look at the offensive side of the ball, who do they got? I mean, Devontae Parker, like Preston Williams.
If he's your number 1 wide receiver, you got problems. You got problems.
Like
Mike Gesicki,
and their offensive line, they traded their best offensive lineman in Laramie Tunsil to the Texans for Kenny Stills as well. Yes.
Kenny Stills on the roster, but he's gone now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. Got you.
But you've got a team that, they got 3 first-round picks. They got 2 second-round picks. They got a first-round pick in 2021 as well. So they got 2 first-rounders in that draft as well. But they
have 5 picks this year in the top 2 rounds.
But Rosen has nothing to work with last year, and the roster's even worse this year than it was last year. He's got no back as well. Kenyon Drake is he's okay, but he's not one of the ascendant talents in the league like Gurley or Elliott or Barkley or anybody like that. I think what they should do is they should go out, trade for Melvin Gordon, put him on the roster, and then get some people when the trade deadline hits, or when claim people from waivers and everything. Make them a little bit competitive now instead of completely overhauling their roster, because a lot of people want out of that system because they think that they're tanking on purpose just so they can get a higher draft pick. I mean, Rosen is, like you said, he's not a guy that I was really high on and stuff, but I think he is a capable.
You got to surround weapons to have him succeed. You got to maximize his opportunity.
Yeah, I think he's capable of being a franchise quarterback, and I think he's capable of leading that team. If you look back at UCLA, he didn't have very many weapons.
He was that
team. He was that team, and he was the reason why they had success. I mean, in order to judge a quarterback, if he's a franchise quarterback, you got to give him weapons and you got to let him develop. And I'd say by the 3rd year, if he's not producing and not ascending the team to the next level, then you move on from him.
Yeah, I want to transition to that because that's exactly what I was kind of saying. The Dolphins, obviously, we know they're tanking. They traded Laramie Tunsil. They traded away Kenny Stills. They pretty much have traded away pretty much their big time playmakers to get a bunch of draft picks. They've pretty much tanked their season. And like I said, last year, they were a 7-win team. And so, at first, you're like, okay, they're not the worst team in football, but they got some decent parts. So that's my thing, but okay. What I'm going to say is this. Look, Josh Rosen this past week versus the Cowboys, he actually really impressed me. I went back and watched that whole entire game. I watched every single snap of Josh Rosen, and he looked pretty good. You can tell from even last year, because last year, like I said, he had really no parts to work with. He was not very, you couldn't get a good read of how good Josh Rosen was. But Josh Rosen also could have played a little bit better. He was late on some throws. He didn't go through his progressions quite well. He just missed some throws. He's a rookie. The game was a little bit too fast for him, in my opinion, okay? But this year, based on the Josh Rosen I saw last year and the Josh Rosen I saw Sunday versus the Cowboys, a top 5 team in the league, I might add, the Cowboys' defense is legit.
Oh, yeah, they held along with the Cowboys for most of the game.
Yeah, Josh Rosen, he threw, look, like I said, this is a prime example. Josh Rosen had about 5 or 6 balls that were dropped. He threw a really nice ball in the corner of the end zone on a fade route for a touchdown, and it was dropped. Okay, so that just goes to show you the Dolphins don't have a lot of weapons around it. But Josh Rosen, this year, when I watched him play this past weekend, he showed me that he's improving. He shows me that he's getting better. And the Dolphins are going to need to make a decision. They're going to need to say, hey, because let's be real. The Dolphins, they're not going to win a lot of games. They're just not. They're 0-3. They might win 3, maybe 2 games. They're just not that
maybe
good.
None.
Maybe none. There's been some talks. I mean, they're a 17-point underdog this week. That's unheard of, okay? But either way, the Dolphins need to make a decision. And for me, I'm patient with guys. Okay, look, obviously you got your Deshaun Watson, you got your Patrick Mahomes, you got your quarterbacks that are coming in here and doing really well. I mean, I can't really name too many first-round quarterbacks that over the past couple of years have not been competent. These first-round quarterbacks that are coming into the league today, they're producing. They really are. You look at Daniel Jones; he's producing. Kyler Murray,
Mitch Trubisky, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff. All of these guys are producing.
No doubt. But the Dolphins are going to need to make a decision because if Josh Rosen, look, he's going to struggle. You're going to need to have patience with Josh Rosen. But what you need to do is, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm building this roster up. I'm getting some offensive line help. I'm getting receivers. I'm potentially drafting Chase Young, a defensive end out of Ohio State that's an absolute beast. He might be the best defensive player in this draft.
Could be the number 1 overall pick.
He could. I mean, really. If I'm the Dolphins this year, I'm building the roster around Josh Rosen because Josh Rosen has shown me this year, based on the game I saw versus the Cowboys, and again, he could look terrible next week. He could look even worse the next week after that. We have to see how he continues to progress. But if I'm the Dolphins, I'm not going to give up on Josh Rosen after this 1 year because you can't get a great read on how great he's going to be because he doesn't have the talent around him. He just doesn't. So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm building that roster up. I'm not going to draft another quarterback. Don't put Josh Rosen through the same situation he went through in Arizona. Let him develop. I mean, give him some time. I mean, Peyton Manning, he threw 28 interceptions his rookie year.
Yeah, and you look at some of the all-time greats. Look at Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman went 3-13 his first year, and then the next year took them to the playoffs and won 11 games or double-digit wins. I'm not sure exactly how many wins, but they went double-digit wins that next year, and he took them to 3 Super Bowl titles. It's unheard of. A lot of these quarterbacks that do terrible their first season, what do they got to work with? Jared Goff, everybody was writing him off as a bust.
Jeff Fisher was terrible.
He was already getting ready to be all right, he's the bust. He was not worth the first round pick or first overall pick and everything, and he was going to be a terrible quarterback. And then Sean McVay comes in, revamps that entire offense, and what happens? In 2 years, they make it to the Super Bowl. They lose to the New England Patriots.
Still a great feat, though.
But still, just 2 years in,
you're not like a quarterback with Jared Goff. You got your franchise quarterback. You found your guy.
Right.
You found your guy. Yeah. So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm not going to move on from Josh Rosen. I'm going to continue to see how he progresses. I'm going to continue to try to see how he develops. I'm going to get good defensive players around him so we can try to win games. I'm going to get offensive line help because that's one thing about quarterbacks. If I'm an organization, the first thing I'm doing is protecting my quarterback. I'm protecting the franchise. I don't want to see the next Andrew Luck, where he's this amazing transcendent talent, not comparing Rosen to Andrew Luck, because let's be real, Andrew Luck is a special talent. Josh Rosen, he can work, but he's not Andrew Luck. He's not elite, okay?
Andrew Luck was one of those quarterbacks coming into the draft or coming out of college that you knew right away he was going to be a future Hall of Famer if he continued his career.
For sure, I totally agree. And Josh Rosen, that's kind of what I'm saying. Josh Rosen, you have to realize what you have. Josh Rosen is not that guy. Do you really think he's going to elevate Kenny Stills and the bum wide receivers you have? Do you really think he can make it for a bad offensive line? I mean, you don't want your quarterback to do that, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Russell Wilson. So you got to know what you have. You got to surround your quarterback with some parts. And again, this division is competitive. The Bills, they seem like they found their quarterback in Josh Allen. Okay, the Jets, they seem like they found their quarterback in, not the way.
Sam Darnold, to me, still has to prove himself.
Okay, that's exactly what I was getting at. They think they found Sam Darnold. They think they have something. Sam Darnold played pretty well at the end of last year, but we need to continue to see with him. But again, they think they found something with Sam Darnold. Tom Brady's going to be Tom Brady. I mean, whoever they draft is probably going to do great. I mean, let's be real, it's the Patriots.
Let's be real. I personally think that they're going to wait until next year and draft Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is in both for them, definitely. A lot of teams are going to be trying to tank for Trevor Lawrence. He's special. He reminds me of another Andrew Luck.
I know. I hate to give quarterbacks that high of praise, but I think that he is going to be a next level talent in the NFL and going to be worth that.
No, I totally agree.
That whatever pick he's picked, if he's picked number 1 overall, he's totally going to be worth it, and he's going to change that team for the better.
I agree. So if we both agree that Josh Rosen, you got to give him some time. You got to give him some weapons. You got to see what he can work with. Let him develop. Don't just throw him into the fire and say, hey, he's doing bad this year, let's move on. No, don't do that. Keep Josh Rosen and see what you have.
Build the weapons around him. Then next year, if you get the talent during the offseason and you get the talent in the draft, then if he doesn't win you more than 5 or 6 games in next year with that talent that you do give him, then that's when you got to say, oh, okay, maybe we should move on. But if he wins about 5, 6 games, or maybe even 7, it's like, okay, we got something to work with. Let's just give him a little bit more and then take him to that next level.
No doubt. You need to find your right quarterback. We don't know for sure if the Dolphins have found Rosen as their quarterback, but again, give them some time. That's all we're saying. All right, let's move on to the next topic. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns. Now, for me and Chase were pretty much felt the same way about the Cleveland Browns this year. We both thought they were going to go 10-6. I thought they were going to win their division. I thought Pittsburgh was going to come in second. Obviously, Big Ben Roethlisberger is out. Obviously, Big Ben Roethlisberger did not look very good when he was playing. So, Steelers are pretty much out. They're 0-3. They're not going to the playoffs. I'm going to fully admit that I was wrong. I'm going to eat that, okay? The Ravens look pretty good, but the Browns, obviously not the ideal start you want, okay? Obviously, the first game versus the Tennessee Titans, it looked good early. Pretty much fell apart in that second half. I mean, 18 penalties. It just was a bad second half. The Browns were not prepared for that game. The Titans fully outplayed them in the second half. Next week, they come on the road to face the Jets. I mean, the Jets are terrible. Let's be real. The Browns, they had a good win there, but at times the offense, I thought the Browns underperformed a little bit based on their capability versus the Jets. I mean, they had a good win. It was a 20-point win, but it kind of felt like the Jets were a little bit sort of in the game a little bit. You know, they didn't play to their capability in that game. Obviously, if you don't play your best game versus the Jets, you're probably going to win because they're just so terrible. That's just the reality. But obviously versus the Rams, they look pretty good. They look like they can compete with the big boys. And I said in one of my previous videos that in order for me to really start to kind of believe in the Cleveland Browns, I thought that was a game they needed to take. And obviously, they had some players injured in their secondary. You know, they hung around with the Rams. The defending NFC champion Rams, they hung around with
the
them.
Super Bowl Rams.
Yeah, NFC champion.
Yeah, like I don't mean to cut you off like that, but like
no, go ahead.
A lot of people are kind of writing them off already and saying that they're not going to do very good. Like the thing with this team is when you get a brand new head coach in there, it takes some time for that chemistry to develop.
No doubt, he's a rookie head coach, yeah.
Yeah, so it takes time for that chemistry to develop between quarterback and head coach. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. If you look back to last year, Andrew Luck had a brand new head coach in Frank Reich.
They were 1-5.
They were 1-5. Mm-hmm. But then when the chemistry started getting going with them, they went on a 9-game win streak. Lost one game in that
I will add the schedule's a little bit soft, but you're right. They did.
And then they ended up winning their last game of the season to clinch the wild card spot and get them in the playoffs.
On a playoff game versus the Texans.
Yeah, and like the Chiefs did the same thing. They started off 1-5 and went and finished 11-5. That same like a few seasons ago with Alex Smith as their quarterback. So it is very possible. But the thing is, they did not play like their whole defensive roster. Even their front four in preseason, they did not play.
Garrett looks like a beast, though. He looks very good.
He's leading the league in sacks right now.
Yeah, he might be defensive player of the year, but go ahead.
There's a possibility. I am happy about that. But you did not play Odell or Jarvis in all of preseason either. So like the developing chemistry with Baker and them is taking a while. And
the offensive line, too, that was a big question.
The offensive line is the biggest question that we have. Like, you traded away your best guard, or your second best guard on the team, or possibly first best in Kevin Zeitler, a veteran, who we signed to a 5-year contract. And you sign him, or trade him away for Olivier Vernon. Granted, that is helping Miles. Like, I like that trade, but I wish we still had him. Because, honestly, if we still had him, our offensive line would be as good, if not better, than they were last year. Because they gave up 5 sacks in 8 games last year for the final 8 games of the season.
Yeah, the offensive line is definitely the issue right now.
And the thing is, Baker's play is kind of a little down right now. I blame it a little bit on the play calling, but also like he's trying to impress and like force plays. Like after the Jets game, he came out and said in his press conference that he realized he made a lot of mistakes. He did not throw to his checkdowns. He did not look at his
kind of getting big play happy. Kind of getting a little big play happy.
And he wanted to go for the big plays and have that gunslinger mentality.
He's going to learn. People have to realize Baker Mayfield didn't play all 16 games last year. He's going to learn to take what the defense gives him and things like that.
Yeah, that's why in the Rams game he threw to his checkdowns. He threw to Chubb. He threw to his
running back. They were moving the ball versus a very good defense.
But the fact that we stuck with them and it was a 7-point loss to a Super Bowl team just tells you that they can compete with pretty much anybody and tells you that they could probably win some big games when it comes down to it. And we had our entire secondary gone.
Yeah.
Our 2 starting safeties and Denzel Ward, one of the best corners in the league right now, and Greedy Williams was out, and we still hung with them. And the fact that we're missing 2 offensive weapons in Rashard Higgins, our third receiver, and David Njoku, our tight end, which that would have helped a lot. But the thing is, like, you just got to give him some time. Like, everybody, like, gives all these quarterbacks that do well their first year so much hype and so much praise and expect them to, like, okay, they did well their first year. Let's get...
Not everybody's Patrick Mahomes.
Let's, like, give him all this hype and, like, expect him to do well. And then when they don't do well, they panic. I I mean, look at Dak Prescott. His first year went 13-3 with the Cowboys.
Second year didn't make the playoffs.
Second year didn't make the playoffs and struggled, and everybody was questioning, like, oh, did the Cowboys find
an MVP candidate right now?
Yeah, and like everybody questioned, like, is Dak the guy? And then now look at him.
Dak Prescott's a franchise
quarterback. They're 3-0, and like he's playing like a franchise quarterback. So like
MVP level too.
Yeah, like I said, you've got to give people that 3 to 4 year time span. Everybody's not like a gifted quarterback to where they can like have their first and second year like take off and be really good. I think the Browns are gonna win 10 games, and I'm sticking with that. Maybe 9-7, but I think they're gonna have a winning record this year, and they're gonna show everybody that like Baker's their guy. Because like a couple years ago, you look at this team, and they would have lost to the Jets. They would have been blown out by the Super Bowl like team, like the Rams.
Yeah, last year versus the Chargers, they didn't look very good. That was the best team they played last year. They didn't look very good.
They didn't look very good. And then they hung in there with the Texans. They hung in there with the Chiefs and everything. And the fact is that we also having Antonio Callaway is gone too until next week when we play the Seahawks. So he's coming back off of his suspension. So this roster and this team, everybody's hitting the panic button on. You just got to give them time to develop the chemistry, give them time to work through all their issues, and give this offense time to develop, and then start making their assumptions. Because once this offense gets going, like everybody knows it's capable of, they're going to be a good team.
Now, I will say this. You say you got to give them time. In the NFL, it's not like the NBA where you got 82 games. It's not like the MLB where you got 162 games, okay? You can have a night. You can have a bad night. In the NFL, if you drop one game, that's a big deal. I mean, not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but again, you want to have every game you can have in the NFL. While I look at this Cleveland Browns upcoming schedule, it's kind of hard. It really is. I mean, I know the back end of the schedule is very, very easy, but I think it was very crucial for the Browns to get that win versus the Titans. I thought that they need to get that win versus the Rams because this upcoming schedule is pretty hard.
That game against the Titans, we were in it till the fourth quarter, and then
we fell apart.
That's when we fell apart. But when you have 18 penalties, 182 yards,
you're not gonna win.
Nobody's gonna win.
Not gonna win.
No team is gonna win with that many penalties, that many yards.
Nope.
We gave them 3 free touchdowns because of that. And that's why they scored. But the upcoming schedule, we get the Ravens, the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Patriots.
The Ravens is a road game. The 49ers is a road game. You got Seattle, you got a bye week, and you got the Patriots on the road, and you got the Broncos on the road, not at home. Then you got the Bills, Steelers, Dolphins, at Pittsburgh, Bengals, at Cardinals, Ravens, and then at Bengals. To me, I think that Ravens game is a must-win game. I really do because...
And we're capable of beating them. Everybody forgets that we beat them last year, the first game that we played them.
Again, that was with Joe Flacco, though.
It's still the same defense. Like we had.
They lost C.J. Mosley.
I know, but I'm saying the same defense that they have. They lost Terrell Suggs and C.J. Mosley, but like we still beat that team. It doesn't matter. Like even the last game of the season when we were driving the ball down the field and everything, and C.J. just happened. Like Baker throws it a good throw and everything, and he just happens to get fingers on it and then tips it and catches the ball. But if C.J. doesn't get his paw on it, we get that first down, and we're going down, we kick a field goal, we win that game. Like, everybody forgets that we competed with that team, and we came down to the wire in that game and almost beat the Ravens. Baker does really good in primetime games, though, too. And, like, when it comes to the Niners, we play them on Monday night. I think the Niners really haven't faced that good of a defense yet. I mean, the Steelers don't have that good of a defense. The Buccaneers don't have that good of a defense, and the Bengals don't have a good defense.
I think one thing I will say is that when I look at the Ravens, when I look at the 49ers, the Ravens, their pass rush is okay. It's not where it was last year, but still, the Cleveland Browns, that's a road game. I mean, I don't know, man.
Who did the Ravens play?
They played the Chiefs. They've hung with the Chiefs. They could have.
Yeah.
The Chiefs.
Okay. First game of the season, they played the Dolphins.
Okay.
A trash defense, a high school defense.
I agree.
The Cardinals. Okay.
They're upcoming.
Their defense is not good.
Sorry,
they got Chandler Jones, Terrell Suggs, Byron Murphy. Patrick Peterson's still gone, and their linebacker core. Who do you have as your linebackers there? Like, that's the question. When you look at this Browns defensive roster, if we have our entire secondary and then our entire front four, that's going to give Lamar a run for his money. And not to mention, Steve Wilkes is a better defensive coordinator than Greg Williams. He's not going to do an all-out blitz on Lamar Jackson. He's probably going to have you blitzing
trying to contain him a little bit.
He's probably what they're probably going to do with the Ravens is he's probably going to have the front four blitz, have two linebackers sit back and then have one of them blitz the line, which I'm thinking it's going to be Mac Wilson that he's going to have blitz the line, while he has Joe Schobert.
Mac Wilson was a steal.
Yeah, Mac Wilson, I believe, is a great guy.
And a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
What the heck? He's a 2nd rounder to me, or 1st rounder at best to me.
I thought he was worth the 2nd or 3rd rounder. Yeah. But like he was the 3rd best linebacker on everybody's board. But like this team, like we're capable of, and the Niners really haven't played a good defense either. And like you see what happens when you get Jimmy G flustered. He panics and he turns the ball over a lot.
But at the same time, you got to look at things and say, well, they got Nick Bosa, they got DeForest Buckner, they got Dee Ford. I mean, let's just be real. That offensive line for the Cleveland Browns is not really up to speed. I mean,
I know, but look at this past week. Aaron Donald only had 1 sack on Baker. He got the ball out quickly.
Baker's improved.
Gave it to Chubb, and like the thing is, we can't abandon the run game like we have.
No, like running a draw play on 4th and 9, Freddie Kitchens, that's bad.
And then when you're on the 4-yard line, you don't run the ball at all. Like that's bad play calling by Freddie Kitchens. That's where he's got to get better.
That honestly, I'm not gonna say it lost him the game, but it definitely did not give him a chance to win, because if you run the ball on 1st down, that sets up so many other things you could do. The fact that you just passed the ball 4 straight plays was not very good to me. Now, to kind of wrap this thing up, I'm out on the Browns. I'm sorry, man. I just am. I think this upcoming schedule is too hard.
I think they got the Seahawks and the Niners that they can win.
No, I don't think they're good. I don't think they're beating the 49ers. If you guys did not know, I was high on the 49ers last season. I said the 49ers would go 10-6 and potentially win their division. Okay, that's how I felt about the 49ers. Okay, and they're undefeated right now. I understand they played Pittsburgh. I understand they played
no defenses.
I get it, but at the same time, it's a road game for Cleveland. They're struggling now. I will say,
but it's a primetime Monday night game. Baker plays well in primetime.
I will say this about Cleveland. They have a chance to sneak into the playoffs, in my opinion. Okay, because
they're second place in the division right now.
I agree, but when I look at things like, okay, the Ravens, 49ers, Seattle at home, I think that you go 1-2 in that stretch of games. Bye week, Patriots at home, Patriots on the road, that's a loss. Broncos, that's a toss-up game. I do think the Browns might have an edge in that game.
We beat them last year in Mile High.
I agree, but at the same time, the Broncos might. I don't know.
We got a much.
Baker doesn't look as good as he looked last year, man.
I know, but we got an upgraded defense too. That's gonna help us. And we faced Joe Flacco that game. Like they always played well against Joe Flacco.
To me, the playoff picture in this AFC picture, you obviously got the Texans division. You obviously got the.
Look at the back half of the schedule. Do you think a lot of those games are winnable?
They are winnable. I think you could go between the Bills at home, the Steelers at home, the Dolphins at home, at Pittsburgh, Bengals at Cardinals, Ravens, Bengals. I see 2 losses probably at most, and I see 1 loss is probably the possibility. But at the same time, you're competing with teams like the Chargers, the Colts, the Bills, the Texans. I do think that the Bills are probably going to get that first wild card spot. I really do. I said the Buffalo Bills were the most underrated team in all of football coming into this year. And I think the Buffalo Bills are off to a good start. They're probably going to win 9 or 10 games this year, okay? Then it comes down to the Indianapolis Colts, the Browns, and the Chargers. For me, I got to tell you, I might give the edge to the Colts. I really do, because their schedule's a lot easier. And I got to tell you, Jacoby Brissett looks pretty. I mean, the Colts are a complete team. Just because Andrew Luck is gone does not mean they're going to be a bad team, in my opinion. Like, they have an elite offensive line. Marlon Mack is playing better than he played last year, okay? They have good wide receivers, okay? T.Y. Hilton, Paris Campbell they drafted, Devin Funchess. They have good tight ends. Eric Ebron's pretty good. That defense is upcoming and ascending. And they played a pretty good. They played Atlanta this week and they won. They won that game. And I don't know, man. I might be out on the Cleveland Browns. That schedule's hard to me.
It's a little early yet, but don't count them out. That's all I gotta say. Don't count them out yet.
No doubt. Ravens and Browns definitely is going to be a race to look for. All right, so let's talk about Antonio Brown. All right, Antonio Brown this offseason, man, he's been in the news a lot, and for not football reasons, a lot. Now, if you didn't know, you've been hiding underneath for rock. He just got released by the Patriots a week or so ago. Okay, he got released about a week ago. And for me, it changes nothing for the Patriots because I thought they were a Super Bowl contender and potentially the favorite without Antonio Brown. So just get that out of the way. The Patriots are going to be fine. They didn't need him, and that's the thing. I knew the Patriots. I said it in my video. If Antonio Brown is causing locker room problems, the Patriots are not going to deal with him. They're going to move on from him. And that's what they did. Now, as far as this whole story goes, there's a lot of things that went on. the main reason why it was speculated that the Patriots were releasing Antonio Brown was because there were text messages that were surfaced. You know, there was a second woman who accused Antonio Brown of sexual harassment. It was an anonymous source, okay? And it was said that he walked up to her naked, potentially. I don't know about that.
Yeah, he was threatening her kids and sending pictures of them in over text messages.
Yeah, he sent text messages too. That's one thing. That's one thing Antonio Brown, I think, made a mistake in. He needed to let his legal team deal with that. He didn't need to be sending no text messages and things like that. You agree? Yeah, that was just kind of stupid. Like, he got kind of worried about football, in my opinion. So the Patriots obviously cut him. He's not going to get the $10 million that the Patriots were guaranteeing him. And he was with the Raiders. If you didn't know, he was with the Raiders before that. Obviously, he had the frostbite in his feet, which kept him out for a little bit of practice time. But then when he was kind of healthy, he was kind of skipping practice a little bit. He had a fight with Mike Mayock where he got into it, was threatening to punch him, and he had the grievance with the NFL for his helmet, where he pretty much said, "I'm going to be quitting football if I don't get the helmet I want." I understand him wanting to get the helmet thing right, because you want to play well in the equipment you have, okay? That's the thing. Like, if I have the same helmet for 10 years, I'm probably not going to want to give it up. So I understand Antonio Brown saying, "Hey, I want to battle this issue." But don't make it an immediate thing. Like, don't go so over the top to say, "Hey, I'm quitting this team," or "I'm not going to practice if I don't get my helmet." He obviously got the helmet that he wanted. Well, he didn't get the helmet he wanted. He got a new model helmet. But again, it just has been so many things. And even dating back to Pittsburgh, where he got into it with Juju on Twitter. He pretty much said Juju didn't deserve to be team MVP. I was better. The Facebook Live things, you know, battling with Big Ben Roethlisberger. I don't think Big Ben Roethlisberger is the best quarterback to work with, obviously. I think his leadership issues are not very good. I think Mike Tomlin is a great coach, but, you know, doesn't really know how to handle the locker room consistently, at least.
The Steelers are missing Bell and Brown.
They really are. They kept trying to convince everybody. They're saying, "Oh, we don't need Antonio Brown. We don't need Le'Veon Bell." Yes, you do. They're good players. James Conner is not Le'Veon Bell. Juju is great, but he's not Antonio Brown. I know, because he's on my fantasy team. He ain't doing me justice, okay? So, again, personally, for me, I think Antonio Brown's done for. I really do. I think that because the Patriots, everyone that goes to the Patriots is pretty much a model citizen, okay? If you can't make it work with that team, and when you know you're probably going to potentially get a ring, because let's be real, guys, if Antonio Brown's in the Patriots team, it's like the Golden State Warriors when they had Kevin Durant. They're kind of unbeatable. They really are. I mean, who are you going to cover? Josh Gordon, N'Keal Harry, Antonio Brown. I mean, it's so many weapons. But for me, I think this is in a row for Antonio Brown. He chose to retire. He said on Twitter he's going to retire. I don't think another team's going to give him another chance. I just don't know what team. Maybe the Panthers, maybe the Cowboys, who have taken on strong personalities. What do you think?
So, the way that the NFL is, it's a mystery. Because, like, you got so many people out there that have left the NFL and have come back and everything because of different issues and different things like that. Somebody is going to pick him up. Somebody's going to offer him a contract. And I can guarantee you that if somebody goes up to him and asks to sign him, he'll take it. I think that it's just a rouse.
He did roll back in Central Michigan, though.
Yeah. I think it's just a ruse saying that, like, he's going to quit the NFL. I think he's just saying that, but like I think if some team offers him a contract, he will take it and he will play. He's too good of a talent, but like he just needs to get things right mentally
first. Arguably the Jerry Rice of our generation.
Yeah, he needs to get things right mentally first before he comes back, and if he can do that, then I think he'll be all right. But like right now, he just needs to stay out of the NFL.
You think he will eventually play in the NFL again?
I think there's a possibility. Yeah, I mean you see guys like Kareem Hunt who've gotten second chances. Guys like Kareem Hunt who've got second chances, and a few other players, you know, Hardy.
Well,
Hardy for the Cowboys. I forgot his first name.
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy got a second chance and stuff with the Cowboys, and you know, and there's been players that have gotten third chances, and then Josh Gordon has had many chances in the NFL, and he's still with the Patriots and still playing in the NFL. So like. You know, it's a matter of if
he just needs to kind of step away a little bit.
Yeah, it's a matter of if there's a team out there willing to take on the risk and take on that. I think he's going to help their team. I think he'll be all right. He just needs to get right mentally, and I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, no doubt. That's where we're at with that. All right, we're back here on the Juice Alert Sports Podcast with my man Chase right here. All right, let's go through the Week 4 picks. Obviously, a big game on Thursday night. Packers versus Eagles. Who you got? The Packers are a 4.5 point favorite. For me personally, I think that the Packers are going to win, but I don't think they quite cover the 4.5 spread. I think they probably win by a field goal. I know Philadelphia struggled. They obviously lost to the Lions. I do think the Lions are a decent team, but my thing with the Eagles is they know their season's probably going to be on the line. They're going to be playing this game tough because if the Philadelphia Eagles fall to 1-3 with the way the Cowboys are looking, I got to tell you, I know they're a good team. I know the back half of their schedule is looking pretty good, but they might fall behind. So I think Philadelphia will come out early and play really well. But I think that because the Green Bay is at home, Aaron Rodgers, this offense, the secondary for the Eagles has not looked particularly good all year. It just hasn't. I mean, they were making Case Keenum look pretty good in week number 1. So I got the Packers winning this game. I think it's probably going to be a field goal game. I think Aaron Rodgers and the offense winning the shootout. What do you think?
I think the Packers win this game by 2 touchdowns or more.
You think they're going to dominate? So you think they cover?
I think they're good.
Okay, all right. So we got the Packers winning. Okay, Falcons versus Titans. The Falcons are a 4.5 point favorite.
I got the Falcons winning this game.
I do think the Falcons will win this game too. And I do have the Falcons covering this spread. Okay, listen, Marcus Mariota, he looked good versus the Browns. Ever since then, lost to Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett's a decent quarterback, but again, not any world beater. He's not Matt Ryan. He got outplayed by Gardner Minshew. Okay.
Plus, that defense was just like annihilating the crap out of the Titans. You had 9 sacks in that game. You had unbelievable, and Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye were playing lights out, and that just goes to show you that if you pressured Marcus Mariota, he cannot do good.
Yeah, Mariota's not taking the next step. If I'm the Titans, I'm looking to move on from quarterback. I really am. I know people gave me pushback for that video I made saying Marcus Mariota's not very good. Well, I don't care, guys. He's not that good.
I agree. I think
he's just not that good. I think the Falcons respond after having a tough loss versus the Colts. All right, up next, Patriots at Bills. The Patriots are a 7-point favorite in this game. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. I said they're going 16-0 this year. Potentially 15-1 or 14-2. At the very least, they're going to win 14 games, in my opinion. The Bills are a good upcoming team, but again, I think if they come out early in the gate, if they come out early defensively and set the tone, they might have a chance. But I think the Patriots covered this one easily.
Yeah, the Bills have no good corners, no good safeties, and
Tre'Davious White's great.
I mean, you got Tre'Davious White, but other than that, you really have no good secondary, a dominant secondary. Your defensive line's pretty good, your linebacker core is pretty good. But
I think that Tre'Davious White is going to have a hard time covering that Patriots offense.
Yeah, covering Gordon and Edelman and all that, it's going to be hard for them. So I have the Patriots. Even though it kills me to say this, I have the Patriots winning that one.
Yep. Now, Chiefs at Lions. This is a little bit of an interesting game to me. Now, the Lions did come off a big win versus Philadelphia. Now, the Chiefs came off a big win versus the Ravens, obviously. I have an odd feeling the Lions might win this game, but I got to take the Chiefs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he looks even better than his MVP season last year. I mean, he's cutting down the turnovers. His completion percentage is better. They have not missed a beat without Tyreek Hill. I know the Lions are a good team. Now, the Chiefs are 6.5 point favorites. I do not think they cover. I think this is probably about a 4-point game or a field goal type game. What do you think?
I think the Chiefs blow them out.
Okay.
Only because you had a Chiefs team play a Ravens team, which they've got probably the top 5 defense, maybe top 3 defense in all of the league. And they had the number 1 defense last year as well. They lose a few weapons and everything. Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, and all that. You got Terrell Suggs gone.
C.J. Mosley was gone.
C.J. Mosley gone. But the defense is still dominant, and the fact that
Chiefs defense is better too.
And the fact that the Chiefs scored 38 points on a Ravens defense like that, I
scored 33, but you're good.
Or they scored 33, but I still think that the Chiefs are going to annihilate the Lions.
Gotcha. All right, Raiders at Colts. The Colts are a 7-point favorite in this game.
I think the Raiders.
You have the Raiders?
I got the Raiders winning this one.
I don't see it, man. I think Jacoby Brissett's playing pretty good. They surprised me versus the Falcons this week. I thought the Falcons would come into Indianapolis and win. I know the Raiders are improved. They're decent. They're not a bad team. They're competitive even in their losses, even though they did get blown out by Minnesota this past week. I'm going to take the home team. I like the Colts offensive line.
They're desperately missing Jonathan Abrams, though.
Yeah, they are. They really are. I think that the Colts win this game. I think because they're at home. I do think if the Raiders were on the road, they potentially could challenge the Colts. But again, I have the Colts winning. And I'm going to say they cover the spread. I think they'll win probably by 10 points. All right. Chargers at Dolphins.
Chargers.
We got to talk about this. Yeah, the Chargers had a disappointing loss, I should say, not win, versus the Texans. Bad second half. They'll respond. The Dolphins are terrible.
I honestly think this game's going to be close, though.
Well, I don't think.
Opinion.
Okay, I didn't cover the spread. I don't think 17. I don't think the Chargers covered. I think they win by probably about 10 or 13.
I think they win by maybe a touchdown.
Josh Rosen looked okay. He looked okay.
Like Rosen, but the thing is, like, you also got a Chargers team that lost to the Lions.
The Lions are decent.
The Lions are decent, but man, like you're
not giving the Lions enough respect.
You actually make one of the field goals, or two of the field goals in that game. Granted, Michael Badgley's injured, so they're having their punter kick. But like, if you make both of those field goals, you beat the Lions and you win. This Chargers team is not looking like the Chargers team of last year.
Actually, they were arguably maybe the best team in the AFC. I know the Patriots beat them, but they roster, they were the best team.
They're missing Melvin Gordon. They're missing Derwin James badly right now.
Definitely. All right. Excuse me. Okay. Washington at the New York Giants. Daniel Jones obviously coming off a great game. The Giants are 3-point favorites. I don't know if they'll start Dwayne Haskins for this game. It could potentially happen. Case Keenum looked absolutely awful versus the Bears. I think either way, whether they play Case Keenum or not, I think the Giants win. I think they win probably by 6 points. I don't think the Redskins will cover this point spread. I think that the Giants, you're giving me 3 points with the Giants. I think they win by about a touchdown. What do you think?
I think the Redskins pull this one out.
Redskins, okay. All right, so that's where we're at that. Okay, up next, Browns versus Ravens. The Cleveland Browns will travel to Baltimore, Maryland to play Lamar Jackson, who's looking like an MVP candidate this year. And the Ravens, Cleveland, I think they're going to be desperate in this game. The Cleveland Browns are 5.5-point underdogs. I'm going to take the Ravens in this game. I was high on the Browns this year. I really was, but the questions for me of the Browns are just glaring. They have not been answered. Freddie Kitchens, bad offensive play calling. The offensive line is just not very good. It's worse than it was last year. The penalties are definitely an issue. The Ravens are a more disciplined team. Lamar Jackson looks like he's taking the next step, at least to some degree. The Ravens have a great offensive line, a great running game. I think it'll be close. I think the Cleveland Browns will come out firing. I do think that they'll come out and be competitive just due to the fact that they know their season potentially weighs on this game. But I got to take the Ravens. But I'm going to take them in about a 3-point game or a 4-point game. I don't think the Ravens will cover the point spread.
I think I'm picking the Browns in this one, and I think that they're going to come out and like fire on all cylinders. I think that this is the week that they finally get everything rolling all together. Their secondary is going to be back, which we were missing their entire secondary last week with the Rams, by the way. And the fact that we lost to a team that went to the Super Bowl by 7 points is just telling you something. But the fact that we only scored 13 points, regardless, I think we're going to score more this week. I think we're going to play a lot better, and I think that we're going to win by 3.
Okay, sounds good. Texans versus Panthers. The Texans are 4-point favorites. I do think the Texans will cover this point spread. I do think they will win probably by about 7 or 8 points. I think the Texans had a great second half versus the Chargers. Deshaun Watson looks like he's really taking that big next step. To me, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. He's looking really good. The offensive line is still a question, but it's improved. It's getting there. It's getting better. They had a big win versus the Chargers, like I said. The Panthers did have a great win versus the Cardinals, but again, Kyle Allen, first official road start, might be a little bit of an adjustment. The Texans defense is a little bit better than I think people are giving them credit for now that Clowney's gone. They did compete versus the Chargers. They did have a good first half as far as the defense goes versus the Saints. They competed with the Saints. They almost beat the Saints when Drew Brees was there in New Orleans. I gotta take the Texans at home.
I'm gonna take the Texans as well, just because, I don't know what Kyle Allen's going to do. I don't know how well he's going to play. He played well last week.
Romeo Cornell's a very good defensive coordinator.
He is as well. So, I honestly, and Deshaun Watson in that offense, it's going to be hard to stop them. So I'm going with the Texans.
I agree right there. Okay, Buccaneers versus Rams. Obviously, the Buccaneers had a big chance to get a great win versus the Giants. Absolutely blew it in the end. Jameis Winston played pretty well, but I think Jameis Winston comes back to the pack this week. The Rams are 9.5-point favorites. I do think they will cover in this game. I think the Rams are looking like they have not missed a beat. I'm surprised by the Rams. I really am. I thought they potentially could go through a Super Bowl hangover. They have some great wins on the road versus the Panthers and the Browns this year. They beat a pretty good Saints team. Granted, Drew Brees did get hurt, but again, you saw what Teddy Bridgewater did to the Seattle Seahawks. The Saints are a pretty good team. The Rams are looking pretty good. I think they win this game, and I think they win by about 10 or 13 points. I think they cover.
Yeah, I think that the Rams are going to win this game too. I'm picking the Rams, but I think it's going to be a closer game. I think they're going to win by a field goal.
Yeah, Bruce Arians does have the team competing, no doubt. They had a big win versus the Panthers. Didn't compete versus the 49ers, but again, that's in the past. All right, Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm going with Arizona.
I actually think I am too. I really do.
Just because like it's away from Seattle. It's hard to win in Seattle, but it's away from Seattle. It's at Arizona. The Cardinals have been in a lot of games this year and had a lot of drives that have come down to the wire, and especially the game against the Lions where they tied. They were down.
Pretty good.
They were down like 24-3 that game, and they come back and scored a lot of touchdowns in the fourth quarter to tie the game up. So I'm going with Arizona in this one.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to take Arizona too, just simply due to the fact that Seattle's inconsistent. I mean, they look very good versus the Steelers. Well, they barely won that game, but they didn't look very good versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati, to me, I wasn't very high on them this offseason.
And they almost beat Seattle.
Yeah, it was too close a call for me. They also lost to the Saints without Drew Brees, so yeah, I'll take the Cardinals. They're improved. Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, they look like they're working together. I think they win that game. Vikings at Chicago. Chicago is the 2.5-point favorite. I think that is too cautious. I think Chicago covers, and I think they win this game by roughly a touchdown. I think they'll win that game.
It's ultimately going to come down to how Mitch Trubisky plays and how that offensive plays.
I think Kirk Cousins too, because Kirk Cousins lost that game versus Green Bay. He really did.
He lost that game versus Green Bay, but like the way that Dalvin Cook's been looking and everything, and the way that offense has been clicking a little bit lately, I'm gonna have to go with the Vikings just because I'm unsure about how Mitch is gonna be playing. Like this past week against the Redskins,
he looked good.
He looked good, but
the Redskins' defense is...
The Vikings' defense is a little bit better, and they got a better secondary. They got a better secondary and everything, so it's going to be tough. So I'm going to have to go with the Vikings in this.
Yeah, I think both teams will split this year. I just don't think that the Vikings win on the road at Chicago, but they might win. We'll see. Okay, Jaguars at Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I just don't see them falling to 0-4. They've been in games. They had the Chicago Bears nearly beat. There was 1 second left. They lost that game. If the Broncos wide receivers had showed up to help out Joe Flacco versus the Raiders, they probably could have maybe stole that game. They competed with the Packers a little bit, so I'm going to take the Broncos. I think they win that game. I think they win that game by about 6 points.
I'm going to go with the Jags. That Jags defense looks like it's starting to get back to the Saxonville age where it was a couple years ago, and I think that Gardner Minshew is going to play really well. He's looking better and better each game. He's getting his reads down a lot better. He's making a lot better plays and everything for a rookie. And I think that just having A.J. Bouye and Calais Campbell and Jalen Ramsey and stuff, Miles Jack, all of that defensive talent that they got, I think it's going to get too much for Flacco in that offensive line. So I think it's going to be Jacksonville winning that one. It's going to be close. It's going to be by 3 points.
Yeah. Dallas versus New Orleans. Dallas will travel to the New Orleans Saints house. And Dallas is actually a 3-point favorite in this game. I'm taking the Saints. I was down on the Saints. I said they were not going to the playoffs after Drew Brees got hurt. I think I'm wrong about that. I really do. They had a big win versus Seattle. I think that because they beat Seattle on the road, they come home. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to beat Dallas. Dallas has looked good, but we have to also realize Dallas has played in New York without Daniel Jones. They played the Redskins without, well, I don't know who they were without, but they played
Alex Smith.
Good one right there. Good recovery. But either way, the Redskins aren't a great team. The Dolphins actually were competitive with the Cowboys for the first half. So I think that, look, Dallas is a legit team, but going into New Orleans, the fact that New Orleans lost to them last year, I got the New Orleans Saints winning this game.
This one is tough, but I'm going to have to go with New Orleans only because, it's going to come down to the play calling. It's Sean Payton versus Kellen Moore. Like, who's going to call better plays? Who's going to set their team up for success more? I think Sean Payton has been through a lot more than anybody else has, and I think that he's a better play caller.
And the Saints show they can win in multiple ways. They had a great running game the past week with Alvin Kamara. They had a great special teams play.
Teddy's a good quarterback.
Yeah, Teddy's good. The defense was playing well, so I'm going to roll with the Saints, like you said. And Steelers versus the Bengals. That game is at Pittsburgh. The Steelers are 5-point favorites. I'm going to roll with the Steelers. I do think they will cover in this game. I don't think they'll fall to 0-4.
Yep. I think I'm going with the Saints or the
Steelers.
With this one, I'm going with a tie.
Tie?
A tie, only because the Steelers are not looking that good. The Bengals are not looking that good, and when you get two teams that aren't looking that good and they play each other close, I think it's going to be a tie for this one. It's going to come down to the end.
I've never had someone predict a tie. Only Chase, guys. Only Chase.
It's going to be a tie.
Only Chase. All right. No doubt. All right, let's talk about Cam Newton. Cam Newton, obviously, former league MVP, went to a Super Bowl a couple years ago, obviously losing to Peyton Manning. He did go 15-1 that year. And Cam Newton, to me, last year, I thought Cam Newton was personally a top 10 quarterback. I defended Cam Newton. I said, Cam's not the reason the Panthers are not prospering, okay? They've never really surrounded him with great offensive line talent. I've defended him. I thought that he was a top 10 quarterback last year. He was playing really well on the North Turner, arguably better than his MVP season even. I mean, he was completing the passes at a higher rate. The team was 6-2 before he got hurt. Now, Cam Newton has been banged up, and he's now 30 years old. And now he had a foot injury, it was reported. He's going to be out versus the Texans in week number 4. And we just got some news that's reported that there's another injury that he's potentially dealing with where he could be out for a little bit more extended period. So we don't even know when Cam Newton's going to come back. And to me, look, the Panthers, before you start coming at me and saying, oh, you're a Cam Newton hater. No, I'm not. Because I said the Panthers were going 11-5 and winning this division this year. That's what I said in my videos. That's why I said the Panthers, I liked them. I thought they were a dark horse Super Bowl contender. Boy, was I wrong. I was wrong about that. I'll admit that. But either way,
Cam has to be healthy.
Yeah, he has to be healthy. He's the heart and soul of that team.
He is the reason why they win. And Cam has to be the person that carries that team. I mean, a couple years ago when he...
Now it's kind of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. A couple years ago when he injured his back, everybody was ready to write him off and then the following year he comes back completely fully healthy, nothing wrong with him, and he takes him to the Super Bowl. Well, then the next year after that, he injures his shoulder. They're 6-3 before he injures his shoulder.
Yeah, this past year.
And taking him to the promised land. And then he injures his shoulder. They don't make the playoffs. They go 7-9. He gets benched the last game of the season in favor of Kyle Allen. And this team has the chance, the potential and stuff to go to the playoffs, to win a Super Bowl and everything.
But yeah, they started off 0-2, but there's still potential there. I mean,
it's all about Cam and how he can do. Like, if this keeps up, Cam just needs to pull an Andrew Luck and retire. Like, that's his best option.
That's a bold move right there.
That's his best. Like, people can hate on me all they want. They can say everything. Like, oh, what are you talking about? Like,
to me, Cam's a Hall of Famer. But he's a Hall of Famer.
He's got to win a Super Bowl, or he's got to prove himself a little more.
I think he's not first ballot. I think he'll eventually get in.
He'll eventually get in, but like it's not like a Phillip Rivers who is going to be a Hall of Famer, even if he doesn't get a ring.
Yeah, Dan Marino type.
Yeah, he'll be that type of person. But like for now, if he keeps getting all these injuries and everything, his best option is to hang it up.
Yeah, he's had a lot of mileage on his body. He's been the most productive running quarterback since he's been in the league. He's running the ball a lot. And to me, it was really telling when the Panthers played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, they start off very slow. I watched the whole game. Not a great game overall, but they had an opportunity at the end to win. And they were at literally the half-yard line. And 9 times out of 10, if Cam Newton's healthy, I'm running that quarterback sneak. I don't care. I'll go down and say, hey, we get stuff, that's fine. We went down with our best. The fact that Ron Rivera, who I do think if they have a losing season needs to get fired, I just don't think Ron Rivera. I think they peaked with Ron Rivera.
You don't fire Ron Rivera.
Why?
The Panthers owner, the new owner that took over for the old one, the old owner said, don't give up on Ron. Don't give up on Cam. He told them that when he took over the team. He's like, don't give up on them. He's like, give them time. He's like, let them work through any issues that they have. I think Ron Rivera is a good coach. I think if you put him on a different team right now, I think if you put him on like the Texans, the Browns, anybody right now, that team's going to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl, whatever.
I'm not saying Ron Rivera's not a good coach. My thing is, you kind of need a new voice. Like, for example, Mike McCarthy, Green Bay Packers, he's a decent head coach, but they needed a new voice in the room. No one's saying Mike McCarthy's a bad head coach, but he needed to go. Like, Ron Rivera, eventually, you kind of need to go. That's just my opinion. Like, he's been there for a while. I think they've reached their height. They need a new voice.
But they've played pretty well. You look last year, 6-3 before Cam gets injured, dude. Like, you have a good quarterback. Look at what happened this past week. They won with Kyle Allen. Yeah. You give Will Greer a chance, see how he does, and that could be your future if he plays well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Honestly, it all comes down to the quarterback play. When Cam was out, Kyle Allen comes in. Kyle Allen wins the game. The Panthers win. And everything. So Ron Rivera's a good coach. He's the one that rallies that team. He's the one that has them play good. So it comes down to how that coach is. If you fire him now and you get somebody new in there, the Panthers are good. It's going to take probably another year or two before they're back in the winning column. Keep Ron Rivera, keep him going with that Panthers team, and keep Cam out until he is completely, fully healthy.
Gotcha. But to get back kind of on topic, like I said, that game versus the Buccaneers where they did not run Cam Newton on literally the half-yard line. You get a half yard, you probably win the game, okay?
Good decision.
He runs a Philly special. That tells me that either Ron Rivera needs to be drug tested, for one, okay? Or it tells me that Cam Newton's just not healthy and they don't want to run him. Because in that game, I think he only rushed like 3 times. Like they didn't run the ball with Cam Newton a lot. I know that if Cam Newton was healthy, they would have gave him the ball. If that's not the case, then something needs to be internally wrong with Ron Rivera. There's something needs to be.
Ron thought that they could get it with Christian McCaffrey. Because
he probably did, but why would you run a Philly special? Like, if Cam Newton is healthy, that's my thing. I'm sorry about that. That's my thing. If Cam Newton is healthy, I feel like they run him there. But I feel like the Panthers know that there's something wrong with Cam Newton. I think that.
Are you allowed to jump over the offensive line this year, or is that a rule that they're not allowed to do that anymore?
I have no idea. Don't hold me to that. I'm not gonna say something.
Because I think they made that a rule, but I'm not sure. But what they should have done is they should have given the ball to McCaffrey and have him jump over the offensive line.
Christian McCaffrey's a dog. But either way, I just feel like they didn't run Cam Newton because they don't think he's healthy. Like, if he was healthy, I guarantee you they would have ran the ball with him. So to me, Cam Newton's not healthy anymore. And Cam Newton, he played well last year, but this year his numbers have fallen off, okay? And he has actually the highest percentage of uncatchable balls this year. So I understand Cam Newton is hurt. He didn't look very good versus the Rams. Didn't look very good versus the Buccaneers, who are not a very good defense, I might add, because Daniel Jones, a rookie quarterback, just tore them apart. I mean, let's be real. So my thing is with Cam Newton, like you kind of said, if he's hurt, he needs to sit out the season. And I didn't even think it was a bad idea if he sat this whole year. Because I know he had surgery in the offseason, but again, if you're not fully healthy, don't play. Like, that's my thing. So, I don't know. If Kyle Allen continues to play like he's playing, the Panthers might have to move on for Cam Newton. I think that a team out there could trade for Cam Newton. I'm looking at teams like potentially, I don't know, who might trade for Cam Newton? The
Buccaneers. The Jags. Titans definitely could use him.
Yeah, I don't know. Dolphins, yeah. But I don't know what to think about Cam Newton. I just think that if Kyle Allen continues to play, you probably need to think about moving on for Cam Newton. Cam Newton's more on the back end than he is on the upward trend to me, because he's never had back-to-back winning seasons. And again, it's not been his fault. I've said in the past, this Panthers organization has failed him. You can make the argument this year, this is the best offensive line that Cam Newton has ever had. Trust me, I've watched them. They're not very good. They're just not. If this is the best offensive line Cam Newton has ever had, then man, this is bad, okay? So that's where I'm at with that. I hope Cam Newton gets better. I hope he continues to play at a high level eventually. But again, I'm just not seeing it. I think Cam Newton is on the back nine, honestly. But hey, that's pretty much it for this podcast today. You know, it's been great having you on, Chase, you know.
Oh, yeah. I love this.
Be sure to comment if you guys liked what we did on this podcast. You know, tell us where we're right, tell us where we're wrong, things like that. You know, be sure to tune in these next couple of weeks, and I'll have a lot of great content coming for you guys. It's been your boy, Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me.
We want to hear thoughts on what you guys want us to talk about and stuff. So
No doubt. We'll try to do this again sometime. All right. It's been your boy, Ghiman Mckinney. Peace out, you guys, and have a great day. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right now if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly and almost every single day if I can. A fun fact about me is I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world. I want to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. Kind of like Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. You get the point. Okay, I want to do sports, television, and radio for a full living once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. So the best thing you guys can do to just help me continue to grow as a young broadcaster is to just share this channel with all your friends, because potentially if this channel really gets somewhere, I want to start my own network, okay? You know, or potentially if it doesn't, you know, or if I fall a little bit short, I want to go into a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. So the best thing you guys can do to just flat out just help me grow as a broadcaster, help me learn, you know, get other people hip to this channel, you know, just share this channel with all your friends, share this channel on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. And once again, guys, just share this channel with everyone you know. Get everyone hipped and watching these videos. Get my voice out there and heard. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. It's been your boy Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in today. I really do. Have a God bless day. Stay motivated, you guys, and I'm out.